Hey, we're in week 19 of Bubble Watch. Hey, that's where I check out to see if this Jacksonville metro area's real estate bubble is about to burst. Hey, we cover everything from the solds to the active listings, new construction. We start looking at foreclosures. We take all that information out of the MLS system, the multiple listing services, and I put it into a chart so we can track it. Well, I've been tracking it now. Today is 19 weeks, okay? So we're going to get to all this in 3. Hey, my name is Tom Kerr, and I'm the host of this show, Bubble Watch. Hey, we've got a lot to cover, and before we get too deep into it, I just want to let you know that I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here in North Florida. So I have access to the MLS, and what I do is I share the back end of my MLS account with you and show you the real numbers, what's really happening. Okay? Now, I get a lot of calls from folks that want information. They're either relocating to this Jacksonville metro area, some people even relocating out, and I love it. Call me all you want. If you want information or you need help buying or selling, I'm here for you. Now let's go look at those MLS numbers into the back end. Okay, as usual, we start off with the active listings. And that comes to 6,560. Okay, let's see how many were sold in this past week. We're looking 7 days back. 494. Okay, how many are contingent taking backup? That's 803. Now for those of you that don't follow this, my Bubble Watch series here all the time, well, what the contingent taking backup is, that is people that are under contract and they have contingencies. Usually it's home inspections, but it could be appraisals or financing. After the contingencies clear, then we go into pending status. Of course, this is all if it's statused correctly in the MLS. All right, now let's look at the pendings. 595. Let's look at the withdrawns. That's 101. How many expired listings? 167. Okay, now we're going to go look at the new homes. How many new homes are active listings and how many are sold? Active new construction is 1629. And the sold construction in 1 week was out to 77. Okay, now I take all those numbers and I put them into the chart I have where I've been tracking it for 19 weeks. And we can compare with, we can obviously see right off the bat what we compare it with last week, and then we can look the weeks back. So let's put those numbers in the chart right now. Okay, active, we had 6560. Sold 494. Contingent taken backup 803. Pending 595. Withdrawn 101. Expired was 167. New homes sold was 77. And new homes active 1629. Okay, one thing that we've seen consistently since the beginning is active listings has been going up, okay? Constantly going up. And that's expected because when we started this Bubble Watch series was when the interest rates were starting to go up. You know, after the first of the year, things were starting to slow down. I think it was like May was the first week of all this. And, you know, everyone wanted to see, you know, what's going to happen. I thought the best way to do this is to keep tracking it so we can watch it. So let's look at these numbers and see how they compared. We look here, as I said, the 6560 for that, you see that's gone up. Let's look at the sales. Now remember when it took that dip, week 17, went to 352. I mean, everything just fell off the cliff for that week. It was almost half. Then it recovered a little bit, 428, and then up to 494. Now we can look back, and we've got to stretch it like this all the way to week 1, and then you can see the difference there with the solds where they were back at 584 when we started, and then they went up, then down, then up and down. And this is where we are right now, this last week, 494. Okay, the contingent taking back up, 803, that went up a little bit. So more people were under contract, as of the end of, this week. And pendings went down. So those lower pendings could mean that we might have less sales coming up. Withdrawals stayed about the same, 101, expired. A little more people let the listings go expired. And what that could be is maybe they had the house priced too high. Because we still see some of that disconnect between buyers and sellers, where the sellers are pricing some homes at 2021 prices, and the buyers, they're not having any of that, and a lot of them want to even be below market value, which, well, all right, because they're anticipating it will go down, so they're trying to cover themselves on that. Let's look at these new homes. Okay, the new homes numbers went up. Of course, after that disastrous week 17, it gradually went up, and also the new homes active on the market, went up some, so there was some more homes there for sale. Something that I saw about new homes, I saw some news articles talking about the permits. The permit requests were down, and so that's an indicator of the housing market, how it's going to be. And what they were saying was why we're seeing maybe some of this inventory increasing for these new homes is the fact that they're starting to go through all these permits that they've had and just start building them, just build them out and then selling. And then we're going to look at the numbers. Remember, we look at the numbers too to see what's sold at list price, below list price, and above to get a kind of indicator, pre-existing homes and also the new, to see what's going on. Something I want to mention here. Let's look back at the chart here, these numbers. When we look at, and when we see these numbers like, okay, right here, the sold, like this one was 494, and then you've got the contingent taking back up 803 and 595. Now, something to keep in mind is that these sold numbers are, okay, those are real numbers that sold, okay, in this last week. But when did they actually go under contract is the thing. See, you can close in as little as 2 weeks, maybe even 10 days in some cases. But a lot are probably about 30 days, and then some are 45, and some could be even longer if there was problems with the contingencies and it dragged on. So, say factors like insurance rates. Well, insurance is a problem also, but say factors like the mortgage rates go up, we may not see that in these numbers for a couple of weeks of delay. So let's look back at the number again and let's see something, if there is a pattern. Okay, when you look here at that week you would think that if there was less pending, then eventually there would be less homes sold. So we look at week 17 was the disaster, okay? 352 sold. So let's look at those pending numbers, okay? Now, the pending number that when they started going down, you saw 663, 638 over here was a few weeks back. So is that the delay? Well, we got to look and see. We had pending starting to go up. So then, we're going up over here in our sales. So that could be something to look at. I'm not getting into all those back end numbers as far as when it went pending, when it went contingent, and what happened, and cash and this, and the time frame to close. That's just too much. this here, we're keeping it kind of simple. So, but these are real numbers of what's really happened to give you an idea of what's going on. And I think 19 weeks is a pretty good spread here to look at what's going on to see if this bubble's going to burst. I'm been saying that I don't see it because everyone's screaming 2008. And in fact, here, let's look at an article. This article here was from Bankrate. Whoops, what did I do? All right, 2022 fall housing market predictions. Okay, so we scroll down here, and pretty much this article is based on the information from this guy, Rick Sharga, who says he's Executive Vice President of Market Intelligence for, I don't know how, Atom or whatever, Data Solutions. Okay, this Data Solutions company, they do a lot of research, and they take all these analytics of what's going on in the real estate market with the housing, and then they put all that, and it's for real estate agents, brokers, mortgage people, investors, stuff like that, anyone interested in the housing market. So they're a big outfit that does all this. So that's what they do, and they come up with these numbers. And this is his opinion after looking and seeing what he's seeing. Now we scroll down here and we look at, are we headed towards a housing bubble? Okay, and right here he's saying that the housing market today is not driven by those loose lending standards, subprime mortgages, or homeowners who are highly leveraged. And so, you know, what he's saying is, in other words here, he's saying there is no housing bubble. He's basically saying that, okay, it's adjusting, and I agree with that. I really do. And look at the things he just said. You know, he was comparing with this 2008 mess, okay? Again, you don't have the same lending practices you had then. Okay, people back then were getting mortgages for over 100% of the value of the house, okay? They had all these crazy different kind of mortgage things, you know, interest only too, to get people in. And then when things finally collapsed, people didn't have no equity in their houses, okay? And then they foreclosed. They couldn't sell it. See, right now, people have equity, okay? There's a big difference. Plus the unemployment rate is good right now, and there's a lot of jobs available. So things aren't the same as '08. That's why I'm not seeing it. Doesn't mean it can't happen, okay? Doesn't mean it can't happen. I got my critics who say it's happening, it's going to happen. I saw some people talking about, you know, how much, you know, houses have gone down in value, that the crash is here, you know. Well, you know, but I differ with that. But I've asked my critics to put in the comments, when is the bottom? When's the bottom? Tell me if you know. I don't know. Most of you don't know, right? We just look at these real numbers and try to figure it out, okay? Hey, let's take a look now at that price per square foot. Okay, and we're using, of course, Jacksonville as our base on this. And there we are. Look at that. After it plateaued for a while, it's going the other direction. We're at 199, okay? It dropped another $1. I mean, 199 is still pretty high. And what's going to be real interesting now, okay, as this price per square foot is going down, okay, are these higher priced homes, these ones over 500,000, is their market share going down? Because, you know, remember, people were saying the reason these prices are up here, price per square foot, is because of all these expensive homes being sold. And so far we haven't seen that, you know, from these numbers here in Northeast Florida. Here, let's take a look at these mortgage rates and what happened, because most of you probably already heard the news yesterday. Well, let's see what happened over the course of a week. Okay, here we go where we were at, let's see, last week, you know, in the 5s. Oh, look at all those red arrows going up. Then we had that one little dip, but we ended up today at 6.2. And now this is Mortgage News Daily's when they compile an average, and these are the daily numbers, and these they update it during the day. I mean, it's the most accurate you know, average of all those. Now, something I want to show you, because, you know, those numbers, those mortgage rates are high, but that doesn't mean you're going to get those rates, okay? There's a difference, like with FHA rates, VA rates. The VA is generally a little cheaper. FHA may be less, but then you got to pay that private mortgage insurance. So it's you got to look at it. In fact, here, let me show you some information on about the different types of mortgages. Okay, here's a good thing. And now this is from a site, the Mortgage Reports, talking about conventional loans, FHA. And I'm not going to go into reading all this and everything, but I put it up here so that you can freeze the screen as you're watching this video. And if you want to zoom in and look, and it tells you the differences between these types of loans, and a little bit of how they work and credit scores and things like that, showing you how there's a big difference in the rates and what you get based on your credit scores and your debt to income ratios. And then check out this article. This was on CNBC, and they're saying from Fannie Mae, mortgage rates will fall to 4.5% in 2023. Well, they got a question mark. Will they? But apparently they're thinking that. And this is one of the things I've been saying too is, you don't buy your house based on predicting the market conditions like that if it's a place you're going to live in, okay, if you're going to live in for several years. Hey, this video that I'm doing now, this isn't for investors and all that. I'm talking mostly to the people that are looking to buy a house to live in. You're not using it as an investment or a money-making thing. There's people that do it, but I'm just talking to regular people, like myself, that just looking for a house to live. You're either renting, an apartment or house somewhere, living with relatives, you might be living with Uncle Henry, I don't know, something like that, but if you're in the position where you need a house or you want a house and you're looking at those monthly payments, okay, is that something that you can afford, versus renting, because renting is not going down. Okay, it's going up. And then as landlords, especially last year when they're selling their properties, another shortage. And that's another thing between '08, what that other guy was saying in that article I showed you was that there's still a housing shortage. He's saying it's like a 3.5 month supply, and it should be more like 6. So that's another problem. We got a supply and demand issue. Okay, let's look at these numbers now, where we're looking at ones that were sold above 500,000, the homes that sold below list, at list, and above list. Okay, here we are, and we started tracking this all there back around week 8, everything, and I started the 500 up, because everyone said that that's what was causing the price per square foot. So you see we go 500 up, under list, list, and above list. Okay, let's scroll over to week 19. And we see those at 500 and above, 21%, stayed the same as last week. Didn't go up, but the square footage went down. Okay. The homes that sold under list, 59%, a little less. And the homes that sold at list, 23%. That went up. And the homes that sold above list stayed the same at 18%. Now, could it be that the numbers that sold under list went down, the percentage went down, because more sellers are starting to market their houses more towards 2022 pricing and not the 2021? As we're getting away from a lot of that mentality of pricing at 2021 or even 2022, January, February, March. I mean, there's a big difference between March of this year and August of this year, a huge difference. And everything's changing, weekly, it seems like, so that could be part of it. Let's check out the new construction now. Okay, as we look at the new construction numbers here, we see homes that sold under list, 16%, homes that sold at list, 40%, and homes that sold above list, 33%. Well, that number below list really dropped off, so I don't know what's going on there, and it's hard to tell with the new construction. And again, sometimes like with these new construction homes, these are like these are ones that sold, and those can be a lot longer than the others that I was telling you about, as far as when they went under contract to when they're actually selling. So, again, some can go fast, but it depends on, when they're finished, so if they had delays in those homes being built, it could be a lot longer than some that are move-in ready. And there's more of those are move-in ready. And in fact, I got a video about that in a particular, like in Jacksonville, a place called E-Town, that there are some new homes that you can move in right now. They're already built, which is pretty good. So if you're interested in looking at that, check out that video. Let's now look at those foreclosures, because man, I'm still seeing these realtors and other investment people put all this stuff out there about how foreclosures are surging. So let's take a look, see what those numbers are. Okay, here we are with the foreclosures, and again, I include under the foreclosure umbrella the pre-foreclosures and short sales and put it all together. So foreclosures for week 19, 13, we're up 2. Pre-foreclosures 12, up 1. Short sales up 2 to 7. For the total, jumping from 27 total before to 32 now. Holy cow, they're right. That's a 19% jump, okay, in the total. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, it's a 19% jump, okay, from 27 to 32. But as far as the total percent of all the actives, it's still less than, it's still 1/2 of 1%. Those numbers, okay, I could have made a thumbnail for this video that looked like this that you're seeing here about the foreclosures, and probably would have had everyone in the world, jumping on the video. They saw, see, I told you, they're going up 19%. Come on. Now, maybe in other parts of the country, or even other parts of the state, they are. I don't care. I care about Northeast Florida. That's where I'm at. All right, now for the thing that some people love and some people hate, and that's the house of the week. Okay, let's check it out. Now this is where I pull a house, and actually, there's people out there ain't gonna believe me. I looked at a house that had a lot that was reduced by a lot. I think this one was $70,000. We'll check it out here. $70,000 off list price. So I said, all right, let's pick that and let's look at the numbers. And this is how these numbers came out. And let's take a look. Now remember, these are houses that fall into that sold below list. Okay, 70,000 is a big amount to fall off of. And the house was listed for $485, and I think sold for $415. Let's check the numbers to make sure I'm right. Okay, here's from the MLS sheet, and yep, 485,000 was the original list. Sold for 415. It was on the market for 42 days, which isn't too bad right now on this. But that's a 15% drop, 70,000. Now that's a headline in itself. I could have made a thumbnail on that. Houses selling for 70,000 below list, dropping 15%. Now this house here, particular house, it was a brand new home, built in 1996. Okay, and actually it was the original owners that sold this. And let's see what they bought it for. Okay, here we look. These are the public records, and back there in 1996, they bought it for $122,400. Okay, brand new. All right, so they bought it for around 122. Think about first of all the people that say no one keeps their houses for 16 years or more. Well, here's another one. Okay, another example. These people bought it brand new. Then they went through the '08 crash. Okay, this is what we're saying. Man, these housing markets are just like stock markets. All these markets, they go up and down. I mean, '08 was a big one, biggest since the Depression, and it really went down. Okay, these people were still living in the house. They weren't selling. They didn't buy it as an investment. They bought it as a place to live. All right? They went through that crash. Okay? So everything. Now, I don't know if they would have sold it then. I don't know. But they kept it. All right? Now they're selling it in what some people call a crash, where I call a correction. But they say, so let's go with all the hysterical media that's saying we're in a crash right now. The bubble's burst. And they're selling it in the middle of this and taking a $70,000 hit off the list, and 415. So they bought it for 122. I bet, and it was over 25 years. I think they've had it then. You add the numbers up, and it's probably the mortgage is paid off or very little was due, so the equity was all there, and still sold at 415. Okay, so they're okay. It worked out. So I'm saying, you can see all the stuff where all these numbers are going down, and you're going to see all the headlines that people are selling way below list, 70,000, 100,000, 50,000, all these big numbers, but still depending on when that person bought it. And like I says, people that bought last year, and if they had a life event and they got to sell now, they're probably not in great shape, especially if they had a VA or an FHA or a USDA loan with zero or low downs, or even a conventional with 3%, it would still be low. So that's it. It's like I say, I show you these numbers every week so that you can decide.